The language I'm speaking right now is on its way to becoming the world's universal language, for better or for worse. Let's face it, it's the language of the internet, it's the language of finance, it's the language of air traffic control, of popular music, diplomacy. English is everywhere. Now, Mandarin Chinese is spoken by more people, but more Chinese people are learning English than English speakers are learning Chinese. Last I heard, there are 24 universities in China right now teaching all in English. English is taking over. And in addition to that, it's been predicted that at the end of the century, almost all of the languages that exist now, there are about 6,000, will no longer be spoken. There will only be some hundreds left. And on top of that, it's at the point where instant translation of live speech is not only possible, but it gets better every year. The reason I'm reciting those things to you is because I can tell that we're getting to the point where a question is going to start being asked, which is, why should we learn foreign languages? So, for example, in French and Spanish, the word for table is for some reason marked as feminine. So, la table, la mesa, you just have to deal with it. It has been shown that if you are a speaker of one of those languages and you happen to be asked how you would imagine a table talking, then much more often than could possibly be an accident, a French or a Spanish speaker says that the table would talk with a high and feminine voice. So if you're French or Spanish, to you a table is kind of a girl, as opposed to if you are an English speaker. It's hard not to love data like that, and many people will tell you that that means that there's a world view that you have if you speak one of those languages. If you want to imbibe the culture, you have to control, to some degree, the language that the culture happens to be conducted in. There's no other way. There's an interesting illustration of this. There's a movie by the Canadian film director Denis Arcand, read out in English on the page, Dennis Arcand, if you want to look him up. He did a film called Jesus of Montreal, and many of the characters are vibrant, funny, passionate, interesting French-Canadian, French-speaking women. There's one scene closest to the end where they have to take a friend to an Anglophone hospital. In the hospital, they have to speak English. Now, they speak English, but it's not their native language. They'd rather not speak English, and they speak it more slowly. They have accents. They're not idiomatic. Suddenly, these characters that you've fallen in love with become husks of themselves. They're shadows of themselves. To go into a culture and to only ever process people through that kind of scrim curtain is to never truly get the culture. One reason to learn them is because they are tickets to being able to participate in the culture of the people who speak them, just by virtue of the fact that it is their code. So that's one reason. Second reason, it's been shown that if you speak two languages, dementia is less likely to set in, and that you are probably a better multitasker, which bilingualism is healthy. And then, third, languages are just an awful lot of fun. Much more fun than we're often told. Languages have different word orders. Learning how to speak with different word order is like driving on the different side of the street if you go to a certain country, or the feeling that you get when you put witch hazel around your eyes and you feel the tingle. A language can do that to you. So, for example, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, a book that I'm sure we all often return to, like Moby Dick. One phrase in it is, "Do you know where I found him?" Do you know where he was? He was eating cake in the tub. Yes, he was. Fine. Now, if you learn that in Mandarin Chinese, then you have to master it. You can know, I did wear him. Fine. He was tub inside, gorging cake. No mistake. Gorging, chewing. That just feels good. Imagine being able to do that for years and years at a time. Or, have you ever learned any Cambodian? Me either, but if I did, I would get to roll around in my mouth, not some baker's dozen of vowels like English has, but a good 30 different vowels scooching and oozing around in the Cambodian mouth like bees in a hive. That is what a language can get you.